Hey guys, it's Jim. Welcome back to another podcast special, and we are talking about Copland from 1997, directed by James Mangold and starring Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta and Robert De Niro. What a forgotten film this is. What an underappreciated film this is. Copland is a stunning piece of work. It really is, with a staggering cast and the best Sylvester Stallone performance since the Rocky movies. Copland tells a story of basically a Copland in Garrison, New Jersey. It's basically a ensemble of policemen from the New York Police Department's 37th Precinct. Led by Lieutenant Ray Donlan, played by Harvey Keitel, they basically set up home in the town, which is looked after by a sheriff named Freddie, played by Sylvester Stallone. Doesn't believe anything's up and just kind of looks after the town, oblivious to what's going on with the dirty cops. He wanted to be a cop and join the New York Police Department, but due to an incident where he rescued a local woman from drowning, he never got to be a policeman and had to settle for being the sheriff in this town. And one night, Officer Murray Babbage accidentally shoots two teenagers dead who he thought were firing at him from their car. The dirty cops tried to plant a gun in the killed teen's car, only to get caught and seen, so in desperation, Ray convinces Babbage to fake his own suicide, and then he hides him with a promise that he will set him up with a new identity. And from there it's about the investigation of what happened to Babbage. Robert De Niro plays an IA investigator who has always had suspicion of these cops, and he's trying to find out what's going on. And Stallone's character of Freddie slowly but surely begins to realise that all isn't what it seems, and he needs to stand up to the cops in the town to restore some justice. James Mangold really gives you a classic story with Copland. It's a very novelistic film. It's essentially the underdog redemption tale. We get this character of Freddie who is such an interesting character because he's a broken man. He is a man who's seen great suffering and never fulfilled his potential and goes around with great sorrow in his eyes. Sylvester Stallone nails this performance out of the park. Stallone dispels any remote doubt that he can act. Like, anyone who tells me that Sylvester Stallone can't act needs to watch Copland. It is a stunning performance, full of acting chops and physically embodying the character. He's a slouching, unimposing man. He's very gentle. He's a pushover. And constantly in this film, Ray is talking to Freddie like a child. And he's a defeated man. And I'm sure there are people out there who never thought they'd see the days where Sylvester Stallone isn't imposing. He isn't threatening. He's a broken man. He completely nails it. Sylvester Stallone was dedicated to this performance. This is one of the greatest Stallone performances. I don't know if I put it above Rocky, but it's way up there. And not many people have seen it. And it's different. What a brave performance for Stallone to not play the macho man guy. To play the man who gets walked over. To play the man who has no respect. You would not expect Stallone to do this unless he was making an absolute statement that he can act. He can actually touch you in different ways to what we knew of him.
I look at this town, and I don't like what I see anymore. Who the fuck do you think you are?
This is one of the simplest but most effective stories ever. Corruption is going on all around, and one guy chooses to stand up for what is right. And then other people get swept up in it also because it's right. For example, Figs, played by Ray Liotta in a fantastic performance also, is a friend of Freddie's who's a troubled cop who also knows what's going on, and he kind of joins Freddie and they become kind of misfit underdog friends trying to work out what's going on. But Figs is too inconsistent and too unpredictable and has got angry and cynical and doesn't want to fight for justice as much as Freddie, but it's Freddie's desire for justice that restores Figs' desire to make things right also. It's about doing something and achieving something in spite of limitations, in spite of how deep corruption goes. Freddie is going to fight for this, and he's actually going to try, and it's such a way to build sympathy for a character. This character wanted to be what these cops are, but he realises as things go along that he'd rather be the sheriff. He'd rather be who he is because he's actually got morals, he's actually got a desire for justice. There's such an idea in this film of backstories and events that have led to this. Very world building, very novelistic. Names and history and how things got to this point are mentioned throughout, and I love that. I love that kind of idea of absorbing you into the story and letting you know about events and people that have led to where we are at and how things got to this point. Obviously Ray, played by Harvey Keitel, has just become like a mob boss police lieutenant because the ends justify the means for him. Like, he will kill, he will maim, he will do whatever he can to keep Copland a comfortable place to live for these cops. He's gone so far over the line, he's become so immoral that he doesn't even know what justice is anymore. It's all about just giving the cops that security. And in a way, in a messed up way, Ray is doing what he thinks is right because he's so knee deep into it. This is right to him, protecting these cops from being found out and giving them a place to live to raise their families in spite of the bad things they're doing. That's what's right to him, and it's up to Freddy to actually stand up to him. I love how there's this kind of almost messed up father and son relationship between Ray and Freddy. He really does treat Freddy like a child. He has no respect for him when he tries to do his job, and he just talks down to him. And eventually, of course, Freddy says, no, you're not going to do that anymore. And you get so invested in Stallone because you get absorbed in the history of this character, the fact that he's laid back for so many years and he's let these police do what they want, and he suddenly gets a kind of moment where everything comes into focus with this whole Babbage idea. He realises, what have I been doing? I've not been standing up for this town. I've been letting them do what they want. And Figs is a fascinating character also, because he's had such a tumultuous relationship with Ray and the cops. Now he's like a live wire. You don't know what the hell he's going to do, and he's incredibly unpredictable. And there's a scene between Ray and Figs in a bar where he just goes off and starts shouting at the cops for kind of cutting him out of their little club. And one thing we have to mention in Copland is this is an epic cast where everyone brings their A game. Everyone has a scene where they have an electric back and forth. The dialogue set pieces in Copland are stunning. They're a major part of it. Every character is delivering in this great script in such a electric and entertaining way that you are glued to the screen for these dialogue back and forths. There's not actually much shooting or fighting or this and that. No, it really is character based and it's dialogue back and forth. But that dialogue is just as exciting as any action scene could be. I mean, even near the start, there's this little scene between Robert De Niro's character of the IA investigator and of course Ray, where Ray first sees him and realises he's investigating him. Just little subtle scene there, but there's some electricity underneath the surface of De Niro and Harvey Keitel going back and forth. And then we get Ray Liotta going back and forth with Harvey Keitel in the bar, which is just absolute acting masterclass.
Don't shut me out, Ray. You found us a sweet little town, you got us the low interest, and I'm grateful. But don't forget who it was that you came to 2 years ago to cover your ass.
Get him out of here, Freddy!
It's not my fault that you can't look at him. You sit in this chair with your back to him. You want it to go away, but I'm still here. In for a penny, in for a pound. Don't shut me out, Ray.
We get the fantastic scene with Stallone and De Niro in the office where De Niro is telling Stallone that he's run out of time, he's decided to care too late, and he really gets under Freddy's skin and tells him that he's missed his chance.
You want to be a cop? I'm being a cop now. I'm here. I'm asking you for some help. I need to do something. I need to do this for myself.
Listen to me, you deaf fuck. I offered you a chance when we could have done something. I offered you a chance to be a cop, and you blew it. You blew it.
You don't get films like this at the forefront anymore. You know, back in the 90s, this would have been one of the main films at the cinema. And you don't get that. You don't get this sort of film being the main focus anymore. Again, I just get reminded whenever I watch these 80s and 90s films of how different the mainstream was back then. You know, you could actually have this be the main film of the moment, and now it has to be a superhero film, or it has to be an action film, or whatever it is. Back here you could have a dialogue focused thriller be the main film that came out that week. And I do feel like actors are missing today. Actors like this, of this caliber, are missing. I feel like everyone is working in this film to make Stallone look like $1 million. It's all about Freddy. You know, even De Niro with his outbursts and his great blunt De Niro style, and Harvey Keitel with his just slimy and aggressive and ends justify the means attitude, and Ray Liotta's electric, out of control, chaotic character. They're all basically existing to engage with Stallone. Stallone is the main focus. Freddy is the main focus. He's the idea of the film. You can stand up and you can redeem your faith in yourself for standing up for what's good. That's what it's all about in Copland, and that's why Freddy is the main focus. James Mangold really brings a fantastic culmination in this film, which he shoots incredibly well, and he introduces an element that's specific to Freddy. I won't spoil it, but one of the issues that Freddy has is kind of translated through the screen. It's really personal to Freddy is all I'll say, and it really is his moment to shine, but it's all delivered through completely his senses and his eyes in a really in-depth way, and if you've seen the film you'll know what I mean. Have any of you guys seen Copland? It is underrated, it's underappreciated, so maybe you haven't. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you haven't, watch it and then let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like discussions on crime and gangster films and that sort of stuff, I do a lot on this channel. Click on another video on the screen now, and subscribe to this channel if you're a movie geek just like me and you love these sorts of videos. I will see you guys next time.